Great. So, hi and welcome to the Rising Stars webinar for January 2020. So, as the marketing manager, I oversee the candidate growth and marketing activity of GRB. And having worked for the company for just over 3 years now, and in all different departments, I've had a wide range of experience over the years. So along that, I manage GRB's affiliate program, which allows students to recommend us in exchange for some excellent rewards and incentives. And I organize the yearly events we go to, such as any careers fairs and freshers fairs. And I also look after our free mentoring program, Graduate Mentor, which I will tell you a little bit more about in a moment. And of course, I manage the Rising Stars. So first of all, I will tell you a little bit more about us as a company, and then we can move on to our four wonderful candidates. So the GRB Group was founded 26 years ago by Dan Hawes and Chris Cater, and have grown it to become the go-to platform for university students, recent grads, alumni, and recruiters as well. And so now we actually have over 75 staff and over 2,000 clients across all sectors, with clients such as Amazon, IBM, Unilever, and Ocado, and other several fast-growing SMEs too. And our recruitment experts have successfully matched over 8,000 graduates with graduate or executive level jobs too. And so we're not the average recruitment agency. We have many other aspects to us, so including our two experienced hire divisions. So first of all, we have Cortex, which supplies IT grads for up to 5 years of experience. Then we have Metrica, which supplies numeric grads for up to 5 years of analytical experience to organizations all across the UK. So then we have Graduate Mentor, which we launched in August 2020. So this is a free platform for graduates and students to have one-to-one mentoring sessions with experts within their field. So we actually have over 4,000 graduates on this platform now, and over 300 mentors, and growing. And they're all kindly volunteering to offer their career advice, CV help, interview tips, and a whole range of other things. So we also have our LinkedIn groups. So on this we have discussions with recruiters, students, and graduates about their experiences. And then we have GRN, which stands for Graduate Recruiters Network. So this is an invitation-only group for clients and associates, and we actually have over 3,400 members on there currently, where we talk about various issues within graduate recruitment, and we actually hold regular monthly webinars to discuss that as well. So then obviously we have our Rising Stars. So this came about by our recruitment experts contacting students and graduates and identifying those who really stand out. So this is a really great opportunity for graduate employers to see through a shop window of the pick of our UK's finest talent, basically. Now, every year, our team of experts carefully screen and select who they think are exceptional university students, so essentially the best in class for 2023. And we will showcase a short list of 50 rising stars on our website, enabling you to view their profiles, request a CV, and the access is actually entirely free for yourself. So every 2 months, we host a short webinar just like this one, interviewing a small selection of our rising stars to discuss more about what they're looking for from an employer and where they want to start their career. So as you can see, there are many facets to the GRB group, and I thought I'd just give you a little overview of them to give you a good understanding of who we are as a company today. So we are going to find out about our wonderful 4 rising stars today. And I will have them introduce themselves to you now, and then we'll give a brief overview of their background, and then we can find out a little bit more about them. So, Giorgio, if you'd like to go first and just introduce yourself, please.
Hi, my name is Georgios Anifandis, and I'm a final year integrated Masters in Computer Science at Loughborough University. I am currently working on my thesis, which is evaluating machine learning models on how well they on their effectiveness in detecting cyber attacks networks. It builds on my previous work on building a machine learning model to detect network attacks. And on top of that, I have some internship experience in Google Cloud platform, especially in the ETL pipeline.
Brilliant. Thank you, Georgios. And Marcel, how about you?
Hi, my name is Marcel Mensaba. I'm currently in the University of Warwick studying accounting and finance. I'm in my final year as well. I'm currently in my second semester. I'm doing an extra 4 modules before I start and do my final exams. I'm really excited to be here to tell you more about myself. I currently finished an internship at Shell PLC last summer in London, Waterloo. So I'm looking forward for other graduate opportunities. And yeah, I'm just excited to be here, learn more about the other rising stars and get going.
Great. Thank you, Marcel. And Usmaan, how about you?
Hi, I'm Usmaan Karim. I'm a student at the University of Glasgow studying a BSc in Computer Science and Statistics. I'm currently working on my undergraduate dissertation project at the moment, looking into the use of 3D printed authentication for covering interactions for security purposes. I'm really excited to be here and contribute to the Rising Stars program and get myself out there. So.
Brilliant. Thank you, Usmaan. And Toby, hi.
Hi, I'm Toby. I'm also a third year student. I'm at Durham University. I'm doing PPE and I'm currently writing my dissertation on the effect of corruption on growth. And I think I've really enjoyed this so far because it's enabled me to use the skills that I've obtained over the past 2 years. I think outside of my course, I really enjoy outdoor pursuits, so mountaineering, hill walking, stuff like that. And I think that's because it sort of gives me a challenge and I'm looking for that in an employer. So yeah, and I'm also really excited to be here today.
Brilliant. Good. Thank you, Toby. And so all of you are pretty much halfway through your final year now, and you'll be ready and free to enter the world of work soon. So what would you be looking for in your next employer? Like, what are your expectations of your next role? So Georgios, would you like to go first?
Yeah. So in terms of my employer, understand more aspects of the work, but I'm also looking at a job that allows me to interact with different teams, a company that allows me to learn more, have full ownership of my projects, but also like make me feel part of it, part of the company. The culture is helps me grow. That's what I'm really looking at the company. It's more of a different factors.
Good, good. Yeah, of course. It's good to feel involved in the company and to be interacting with other departments as well. Thank you, Georgia. So Marcel, how about you?
Thank you very much. So in terms of what I look for in a graduate employer, I'm firstly looking at an employer that will enable me to develop my soft skills. So obviously time management, project management, building up good team working skills, leadership skills, and my analytical skills as well. I'm also looking for an employer that prioritizes ESG as well, because I believe that we've come to a point in the world where every corporate entity or every individual and every country to actually say needs to take ESG to the next level, because if we don't, the climate change, for example, could be very detrimental to humanity in the long run. And I also look for companies that are very big on diversity and inclusion, because I come from a diverse background. I've lived in both the UK and in Ghana as well. So I was able to adapt to different environments, and being able to do that also helps to, learn more about different cultures. And in particular, the culture I'm looking at for any graduate employer is where I can work in a fast and dynamic environment. So that's why I really look forward in a graduate employer.
Brilliant. I like that, Marcel. Diversity is so important nowadays as a conversation as well. So yeah, definitely a big factor in a new employer would for diversity would be fantastic. So Usmaan, how about you?
Yeah, I think a big thing I'm looking for is a company or organization that really supports and gives opportunities for development, especially coming in as a fresh graduate, being able to develop on that sort of foundation of skills that's been built up through university education is really important, I think. Clear career progression, I think, is a big plus, because it not only gives, well, the possibility of progression, but also really helps map out a direction of growth, and give you an idea of what the company's looking for from junior and senior employees. Good team and sort of work environments are really important to well-being, productivity, and I think coming in as someone with little experience of industry, I think that's a really great thing to come into. Along with that, variety in the role would be a big plus. Even just like a variety of clients, a variety of skills being worked on is really great for someone coming in with fresh.
Brilliant. Yeah, I agree, Usmaan. Definitely clear career progression and extra support as well, especially for people that maybe haven't been in the industry before, haven't worked in an actual company in that industry. So yeah, really important points. And how about you, Toby?
So I think for me, I'm looking for an employer that allows for a continued learning path after university. So perhaps it's got a very well-structured graduate scheme, or it provides extra funding for its employees to take courses outside of work that might benefit them within the role. So I think that's the first point that I'm looking for. Someone that encourages professional development and allows you to continue learning after university. I think second of all, I would like to go somewhere that's team-based. So I think I've been really fortunate to have worked in a few summer jobs and sort of informal roles that have been really team-based. So for example, over the summer, I was working at Edinburgh Fringe, and I've previously worked as a member of the Army's University Officer Training Corps. And I think those experiences have really allowed me to gain because they've been so team-based, and I've been able to learn from other people and then take on constructive feedback. And so in a future employer, that's definitely something I'd look for, somewhere that I'm able to get feedback from other people so I can improve myself. I think lastly, I want somewhere that embraces progression. So it allows you to progress clearly through the company. And there's a clear way to progress through. So perhaps based off the sales that you achieve, or some other metric like that. Just because I don't want to be within a company that doesn't allow room for growth. So yeah, I think those are my 3 points.
Fantastic points, Toby. Definitely. It's a great experience that you've had as well already. But also with graduate schemes that you mentioned, it's really it's great to get into a grad scheme, because employers, it's almost like a role that's specifically made for graduates. So you've got all the support that you need, the progression, and where you're going to end up after the 2 years of your grad scheme. So, and you can end up staying at the company and end up in a full-time job, staying in there for as long as you can. So yeah, really good points. So now let's talk about red flags. So what would stop you from going forward with a company? What would put you off going for them? So Georgios, would you like to go first?
Yes. So what would me personally would put me off in terms of a company would be, it would be a mixture. It would be if it is too bureaucratic, too slow when it comes to taking certain decisions. For example, in different projects, it is a bit too slow for me. There's like a long time between one project and the other. There's no support when it comes to learning, working with your peers, working with the team. There's no exposure outside of the team. In terms of software development, that would be a bit of an issue, because it's something that it greatly helps in the work, both learning and producing a better piece of work, better quality. And also the other thing would put me off would be the development. How, if it is a company that it takes a really long time to progress career-wise, would be something that would put me off. But also like experience and exposure on different things.
Brilliant. Yeah, all great points, Georgios. Thank you. And Marcel, how about you?
Yes, thank you very much. What put me off, or red flag, as you said, would definitely be if a company's core values don't really abide to mine. So I look for a company that obviously they have togetherness, or they connect as one team. I also look for companies that strive for excellence on a daily basis. And I also look for companies that have uphold all the decisions in terms of high integrity. So if, for example, their core values don't abide to mine, that will put me off. I also, another red flag would be limited growing and learning opportunities. So when I worked at Shell PLC last summer, there was always a chance to learn about the different divisions in the business, and that was good. So I was in the finance department, and it was not necessarily just me being in the finance department. I got to network with so many different individuals and in different divisions as well. So that's something that I really loved about Shell PLC, and I look for in any graduate employer, to be fair. I also, as I said, I'm very big on ESG awareness. So if a company or employer is not have ESG principles in place and constantly striving for example, the UN SDGs, zero ambition goals, for example, that will also put me off. And lastly, diversity and inclusion. I look for companies that are very big on diversity and inclusion, and they're always trying to, improve and bring in more ethnic minorities, bring in workforce. So if they're not doing this, that's a red flag, especially in this day and age.
Brilliant. Yeah, agreed on all of that, Marcel. Thank you. And Usmaan, how about you?
Yeah, I think a really big insight you can get into a company even prior to joining them is the recruitment and interview process. And I think if you find that to be adversarial, almost combative, that can be a big red flag into the ethos of the company and what you're going into. If that's how prospective employees are being viewed and filtered. Alongside that, once inside the company, if it's almost an aggressively competitive environment, that can be a big red flag. Obviously, competition has a place in the workplace and is great for pushing people forward and progressing, but aggressive competition can be really bad for fostering team working and really detrimental to employees. Alongside that, a general sense of disorganization can make it be really difficult to work in a company, I feel. Even if it's a great company with great employees and a wonderful atmosphere and ethos, if it's very vague and sort of there's no clear path upwards, that can be very disheartening and very difficult to work in, I feel.
Definitely agreed. Yeah, you want to know exactly what where you are in the company and where you're heading as well. So it's important to have clear goals and clear roles, and have some structure basically. So yeah, thank you. And Toby, how about you?
I think perhaps one of the biggest red flags that I might see in a company is that if the role doesn't have variety within it. So I know last summer when I was working at the Fringe, one of the aspects that I really enjoyed was that we weren't just doing one job for the entire 31 days. It was mixed up every single day. So one day perhaps you'd be lifting a raw mile. Some other days you'd be working the bar. Some other days you'd be helping out with the set. And I think within a company, I would look for that on a professional level. So being able to do different things every single day within the role. And yes, so also when I was working as a tutor, that's something that I really enjoyed. Not just teaching the same thing over and over, but being able to identify what was needed in that lesson and be able to cover a variety of different things. So I think that's my first point. I think second of all, I think given the uncertain times that we're sort of living in, I would want to look for a company that's sort of recession-proof to an extent. So perhaps looking at its headcount over the last few years, or looking at its sort of profitability, or more generally looking at its sort of business structure to see how it would cope within uncertain economic times. So I think those are the two sort of red flags. So not being a varied role and then not being recession-proof.
Fantastic points, Toby. Definitely agreed on all of those. Brilliant. So then as you're coming to the end of your university career soon, you must have learned a lot along the way. But are there any new skills that you'd like to develop on, or any existing skills that you want to improve on at all? Georgios, how about you?
Currently, I'm working mainly on machine learning, which I greatly enjoy. and I would like more to work on it later on, try to use it in a real life environment, see its impact on solving an issue and how it can be utilized. But I also enjoy cybersecurity, so I would like to implement that along with maybe software engineering and ML. I know my cybersecurity knowledge is good as in a university level, but I would like to see how it can be enforced in real life and fill any gaps that the university may have left.
Brilliant. Thank you, Georgios. And Marcel, how about you?
Networking and relationship building skills. So during my time at Shell, I was able to speak to different senior stakeholders, such as senior vice presidents within the company, being able to build relationships with them, being able to talk to them more about the business. And I found it extremely useful, being able to learn from different people, and especially with the kind of experience in which they had to develop me, because I'm now coming up in my career in the finance world. I also want to be able to improve on my leadership and team working skills, because during my time at Shell as well, I managed to lead a team on a particular business project, and I really enjoyed it. And I also want to be given a chance to be able to showcase these skills and develop them even further. And I also want to continuously develop my analytical skills, because being from a financial and math background, it's always important to polish and continuously on your analytical skills as well. So these are the skills that I really want to continue to improve on.
Great, good to know. And yeah, networking it can be a very difficult skill sometimes, especially if you're starting out. But yeah, there's plenty of resources online. Like I mentioned, our mentoring program as well. You can always speak to a mentor. That's always great to have by your side and kind of teach you the ways of how to network and where to go and all of that. So yeah, very good point. And Usmaan, how about you?
Yeah, so all of throughout last year and over the summer, I was working on a large project for Young Enterprise Scotland, the charity. And throughout that project, I really emphasized the use of sort of technical communication skills, talking with the client, finding out their needs, how to accurately portray technical challenges or ideas to people from a variety of backgrounds. And that's followed through to this year in a sort of educational role, where I'm working as a demonstrator in university labs for computing. So that's really a skill I would be interested in having like a follow through with into a career. Alongside that, over the summer, I worked with an internship with the company Confluent on their benchmarking suite, and that really gave me an insight into the use of sort of analytics and sort of data analysis in decision making, and how to best use those in decision making, and how to set up different forms of analytics in ahead of prospective decisions to try and inform you on that. And that's something I'd really enjoy taking forward and getting more insight into. Alongside that, general hard skills, so learning new programming languages, learning new techniques, that's always interesting. Keeping up with the changing landscape of technology, I think, is really important, especially as it begins to change sort of faster and faster with time. We're already seeing like new languages, new frameworks pop up in the last 2 years that have become instrumental. And then sort of meta skills. So throughout university education, I think a big thing we've been learning is how to learn efficiently and effectively. And those sort of skills, how to learn efficiently and effectively, how to put that into practice, how to adapt to new environments, I think is a very important set of skills to develop for career, but also just for life in general.
Brilliant. Thank you, Usmaan. And Toby?
I think in terms of hard skills, I really want to improve my data analysis skills. So throughout my last year, 6 months, I've really enjoyed utilizing my skills when doing my dissertation. So, for example, in working out and trying to work out the effect of corruption on growth, I've had to analyze a lot of data and use a lot of different regression methods. So, for example, instrumental variable regression, multiple regression. And so I think moving forward, I'd like to perhaps work on this further, because it's something that I've really found fulfilling so far. So that's definitely something I want to do. And then I think in terms of soft skills, I'd like to exercise my leadership abilities in a professional capacity. So I've been really fortunate throughout university to have been able to have a number of leadership opportunities. So, for example, last summer when I was on exercise with the army in Gibraltar, I was able to form a leadership function for one of the roles that were given, and I found this to be greatly beneficial. However, I would like to do this in a more executive and professional capacity. So those are two skills I'd like to work on moving forward.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Toby. Great. So then after being invited to an interview, for example, I'm sure you'd want to know a little bit more about the company and research them before you go into it. So how would you research companies to find out as much as possible about them? Georgios, how about you?
I usually start by looking at the website of the company, the About Us section, but also what they offer in terms of products or services, who their founders are, their news page where they release blog posts about themselves, about the different products, their new releases. But other than that, I also look at the new, if there are any news articles about them in terms of different products they have released or how well they're performing in the market to understand more about them, if they have been involved in any controversies. And on top of that, I usually go on LinkedIn to see what are the people that are working there, their background, the average, how long do usually people work there for, the average tenure, and if people recommend it, what are the pros, what are the cons, what they leave as feedback for the company, and if also the company is using their Glassdoor page to reply to the feedback.
Great, Georgios. That's great. Thank you very much. And Marcel?
Yes, so I definitely look firstly at the website to find out who they are, what their mission is, their vision, their core values to see if they are aligned to mine. I'll also look at the ESG section, the diversity and inclusion section. I'm also very passionate about technology, so I look to see if, for example, they're implementing the latest technology, the artificial intelligence part of their website. And then I also then look into LinkedIn. I follow the LinkedIn, their LinkedIn account, and I also look for whether they have any employees that are working there. Sometimes I try and connect to them. Maybe if they do accept me, I ask them I message them and ask them a few questions about their company. I also look at recent news articles to see, for example, I'd love to see any recent new deals that the company has made, maybe in the recent times, or any news articles that may catch my eye. I also look at other websites such as Glassdoor to see what the employees are saying about their company. And also sometimes I look at their stock price, because stock price also shows like an indication of whether the company is doing well or not. So that's also a good indication as well. So those are the 5 major things that I look at when researching a company.
Brilliant. Thank you, Marcel. And Usmaan?
Yeah, I tend to come at it from sort of two angles. So the first being sort of a big picture of the company, what field they sit in, how they sit in that field, how they differ from sort of competitors or other companies in that field, or alongside that, sort of the information they put out. So their websites, About Me pages, blog posts. I think it's good to understand the past of a company. So going back through blog posts, past news articles, where it was founded, by who, how, that sort of thing, and just any like community engagement they're involved in. I think gives a real insight into how they project their sort of core values onto both the company and the community around them. And then alongside that, looking at sort of from an individual employee view, trying to see like LinkedIn, Glassdoor, those sorts of tools to see how long are individual employees staying, how do they feel about it while they're there, after they've left. Is there any like how well documented is career progression? What fields are employees coming into the company from, and where are they going after the company? And just trying to get an idea of both the company as a whole and sort of the effect of the company on its employees. and what they're looking for.
Brilliant. Thank you, Usmaan. And Toby?
So I think there's a number of things that I would do when I'm researching a company. I think first of all, it's interesting to see how a company presents itself. So I'd look at the posts that the company puts out. So for example, looking at its blog posts, looking about its values, about its About Me section, to try and see how the company views itself and how it sees itself as differing from its competition. I think second of all, I like to look at news articles about the company to see perhaps if it actually does act in the way that it says, so it lives up to its values. And so, for example, looking to see if there's been any controversy surrounding the company, if the company's done any major deals recently, and if the competition is performing more strongly. I think, third of all, I'd also look at the Glassdoor posts to see how long employees tend to be staying at the company, because I think that can really give you a lot of information about how the company treats its staff. If the average employee tenure is short, then that's really not a good sign. And then I think lastly, as Marcel touched on, LinkedIn is a really good tool for assessing how good a company might be to work for. So I might reach out to people who currently work at the company in a junior position to see how their experience has been in the graduate program. And then perhaps looking at also people more senior in the company to see how quickly they progressed through and what they had to say about it. So I think those are 4 things that I would do when I'm researching a company.
Brilliant. All great points from all 4 of you. Thank you for that. LinkedIn, definitely, even reaching out, like you said, Toby, reaching out to them, like people that have been on the grad schemes before, really getting their opinion on it. Glassdoor is always a really good insight as well. Blog posts, kind of seeing what the overall core values of the company are. Really important that they match up with your own as well. So yeah, thank you. So after you've then consulted all these aspects that we've discussed, what is your one deciding factor that makes you want to apply for that job? Georgios.
For me, it's more of a combination of different factors. So for me, it's more about understanding the career progression, the learning, the culture, the environment. If I have met the team, how the team works, how they open they are to different technologies in my sector, or how open they are in collaborating and understanding new technologies, new concepts. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's more about the feeling. If I'm a cultural fit, if the job is fulfilling as I see it, if the team is also willing to accept new members and help them train.
Great.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Georgios. And Marcel, how about you?
The major deciding factors is actually more than one. So I want to see whether the graduate scheme, I want to see how it's laid out and its benefits and how it can develop me in my career progression. I also want to see whether their core values are close matched to mine. So I love to see a company that is very unified, there's togetherness and so on and so forth. I also want to see if they are looking at the ESG awareness, diversity and inclusion. The culture fit is very important as well. Very important that you have a similar culture that is aligned with the company in order for you to settle in well and so on. And yeah, they make my decision easier.
Great, thank you, Marcel. Yeah, company culture is so important. It should be one of the main deciding factors as well. You can kind of get a feel with that sometimes when you're in the interview. Sometimes they take you around the office as well. You can kind of get a feel for it, so whether you're going to go for it or not. So yeah, very good point. And Usmaan, how about you?
Yeah, I agree with Georgios and Marcel that it's not one factor that sort of makes the decision. It's a combination of different factors and things within the company that I think are really important. So I would look for things like career progression. Is there a high turnover of low-level employees in a very static upper hierarchy that would maybe suggest to me that there's not a lot of movement within the company? Is there do the core values of the company align with me, along with me aligning with the requirements for the role? I think it's very important that the workplace fits the employee along with the employee fitting the workplace. The company culture as part of that, I think, is really important. Alongside those things, how is the company a net positive on the society around it, on the world, environmentally, socially? Is this something I feel good working in as a structure? And then just the people that you meet throughout the interview process, that you meet on maybe tours. I think you can get a lot from like an immediate workplace within a company by meeting the people who you might be working with or for or adjacent to. If they're similar people to you, potentially the fact that they're there says good things about the company.
Exactly. Yep. Agreed on all of that, Usmaan. Thank you very much. And Toby, how about you?
So I think perhaps as already has been touched on, I don't think there's just one factor. However, I would say the main factor for me is that possibility of career progression, because I don't want to be in 5 or 10 years' time, if I'm still with the company, which hopefully I would be, I don't want to be in the same position I am currently. I would want to be in a role, perhaps potentially where I'm potentially training up new people within the role. I've got more responsibilities. I'm able to tackle more complex problems. So I think that's a main factor for me, that sort of element of career progression. However, as already been said, there's a plethora of other factors that are important for a decision. So, yeah.
Of course, brilliant. Thank you very much, Toby. Yeah, career progression is pretty much the main thing that people really look for. You want to be able to progress through the company, learn a lot along the way, and end up in a much higher position in a year or two, or longer. So yeah, agreed on all of those points. Thank you, everyone. So thank you all so much for sharing everything that you've said today. It's really been great knowing you all, and I wish you all the best of the luck for the rest of the year. I will just mention for those who are watching, you can access our Rising Stars by visiting the link in the description below, and it's also on the screen. So that's grb.uk.com/rising-stars. You can then click View Rising Stars that you can see in the middle of this page. Each person will have their info on there and a short little bio about themselves as well. And you can then view the candidate and request their CV for free. So if you would like to contact me directly with any questions, my details are on the screen and will be in the description below. But thank you for watching our webinar, and we'll be back in March with more Rising Stars for you to find out about. And I just want to thank Georgios, Usmaan, Marcel, and Toby for joining us today and letting us know more about you and what you're looking for an employer. So thank you all.